Now I'd like to invite Frank Phelan, our board president, up to the platform. I think he has someone important to formally introduce to us this morning.
Good morning, Unity Church of the Hills. What a journey. What a journey it's been. I'd like to begin by thanking so many people. I'm not going to be able to name everybody because there's so many people to name that have walked this journey with us and brought us to today. But I would like to begin with our interim ministers. Steve stepping back in, Braz holding his space, and most recently Reverend Eliza carrying us for the past 6 months. Such grace. We're so grateful. Unity Worldwide Ministries. For their help and support and guidance. We wouldn't have had Reverend Eliza were it not for them. Dr. Reverend Roger Teal for his guidance to the board and helping us formulate the vision, helping us put together the teams that searched. The ministerial search teams, too many to name, but we've got the core candidating team, the marketing and promotion team, and the prayer and consciousness team, all who put in many, many hours. Particularly the core candidating team, going through and providing such detailed information for us to be able to go through and make our assessments. To the staff, a staff that's walked through a year with many months without a senior minister, which is a very hard thing to do, and done it with grace, and really we've thrived as a result of that. To the other board members, some past and some current, there's been a lot of work that's been going on behind the scenes in preparing ourselves as a board and creating this vision and then working with the ministerial search teams. And so it's been many, many meetings, sometimes 4 or 5 a month, which is way more than we've typically done. And I thank you to all the other board members for the time that you've spent. And then lastly, to our congregation that's held a faith, a high consciousness, and an aspirational vision, and for that confirming of that aspirational vision through your responses. Today, we get to join with Reverend Sheree Taylor-Jones, and we're so excited about everything that she's bringing. She's an ordained minister in 2 New Thought denominations, Unity and Religious Science. She's a qualified transitional minister. She's a certified pastoral counselor. She's a consultant, a speaker, an author. She also has a wealth of business experience in the corporate environment. But most importantly, it's her consciousness. That's the thing. She not only believes in unity principles, but embodies them. She's a practitioner, and I'm going to use her own words here. We are called to be catalysts of great change, and we embrace each person as worthy and welcomed. And so we get to embrace and welcome you, Reverend Sheree Taylor-Jones. Welcome home.
You guys are amazing. Amazing. Thank you for that warm welcome. I've never experienced the kind of love and welcome that I've experienced here in this community. When you're home, you just know it. When you're home, you just know it. And I feel like this is a time right now when our community's been in the diaspora, right? We haven't been able to be on our sacred land. And now, slowly but surely, you're coming home. You're coming home. You're coming home. And so this is a sacred time. Now you'll notice I've got one of those stole things on again, and if you weren't here last week, this signifies that this is a sacred moment with this community. It's a sacred moment. You've said yes. Welcome, Rev. We want you here. And I've said, yes, I can't wait to be here. Oh my gosh, that's powerful, really powerful. So if you're willing, let's pray. Let's take that breath that brings us here, that brings our thoughts, our awareness, our consciousness to this present moment. As we breathe in, we invoke the allness of the universe. We invite our ancestors. We invite those who were foundational in building this community. We invite their essence here now. As we open up in a new and profound way to being the light in the world, to being God in skin, to being the divine expression of possibilities and love and welcome and acceptance in the world. And we say yes. Feel that sacred ground. Feel that energy that just wraps around you in love and in welcome to come home. And so we release this prayer in the knowing that we are on sacred ground, that we're breathing in, coming back home, where we are spiritually fed and ready to step into that next evolution of consciousness that is ours. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. How do you follow up after that? Woo. Thank you. Thank you, Celebration. Matt, Brian, you don't get enough recognition. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sound team, visual. It takes a village, my friends, to make us look this good. Thank you. Thank you. So there's that picture there. Isn't that a weird picture? That's a weird picture. First, the last time that I gave a talk here, it was my tryout. Kind of scary. Wow, that happened only a few weeks ago. It seems like a really long time, but it really was only a few weeks ago. And I was blown away by the energy of this community. And I got a few surprises. I got a couple of gifts, which was like really nice. And like, ooh, I like that. I could get used to that. Tony on Celebration gave me this lovely, like, take care of you goodie bag. I'm like, gosh, he knows already? I'm gonna need that? Yes. And then I got a lovely bunch of these beautiful petite roses from James and John. And when I want to save something like that, like for a memento, I usually put it in my Bible. I've got a confirmation Bible. I see heads going. And it's a King James version, and it's got that like really thin, onion skin kind of paper that you turn and it's got a zipper around it, so I put my keepsakes in there. So right before they were done, I took a couple, and I'm walking over, and I hear Spirit, you need to put it in Wings of Song. I rolled my eyes, yes, because that's how we roll. I rolled my eyes, and I was like, really, Wings of Song? It's not one of my favorite books. I hold it because it is a primer for unity, and it's got some really good techniques for high holy days. And I'm like, all right. So I open it up to that page. I put the flowers in it, and I had to take a picture because who believes this stuff, right? That's not real, but it was real. And so it let me know that, oh, I guess my first talk as your minister should be about unity, as well as letting you know that unity is part of my foundation. It's how I want to show up in the world. Did you know that The meaning that you make about change can make the change you're going through one that's filled with joy or filled with dread. Did you know that? I see head shaking, metaphysicians, love it. And what's interesting is that as I listen to the consciousness that is Unity Church of the Hills, I also got to listen to the meaning that was being made as I arrived to be your spiritual leader. And I got to tell you, we've got some very, very creative folks here. The meaning that we make, right? Some have interpreted me as either the Messiah arrived, the Messiah's here, not overwhelming at all, or I am here to destroy everything that you held as dear and sacred. Wow. Wow. That's huge, right? And here's the thing. I am all those things. And guess what? So are you. You are all those things because we know there is no thing that is not of God, right? We know that. We know that every time that we step up and talk to someone, we are either lifting up or tearing down. It's a choice that we make. So, the path of evolution of consciousness is really similar to, you know, those 360 performance reviews. Some of you who are corporate may have heard that. Yeah, okay, and you're like, no, not the 360 review, Rev. It can't be spiritual, but it can be. The goal of that is it's a tool to allow the employee to be getting feedback from their manager, their coworkers, and their direct reports, right? That's where the 360 comes into place. And the goal of that is to seek actionable feedback to the employee and give them a better understanding of how they support the organization. So if we continue with that analogy, then how do we do our own 360 when we're looking at our evolution of consciousness? What? You mean there's work? Yeah, my friends, yeah, there's work. So the first thing that we would do is we would look at the thoughts that we have, right? Because we know that's the building block, the thoughts that we have. And then we're going to look at our behaviors, which we know is the outpicturing of what? Thoughts, right. So we're going to look at our behaviors and then see, what do other people in our lives think about those behaviors? And then we're going to say, am I being the Christ in this organization? Am I being the Christ? And from this awareness, this now allows you to do what? Create an action plan to shift to the next evolution of consciousness. There's a tool. Evolution of consciousness doesn't mean that we reside in that frequency where, you know, what was fabulous 10, 20, 30 years ago is still okay today. Because the frequency has changed, has it not? It also doesn't mean that we throw everything out and not honor our past experiences, the lessons that we learned, what brought us to this precious moment. All important. Evolution of consciousness means that we include and transcend. Then we breathe, we assess again, and then we transcend and include. So for those of you who are ready to light this community on fire, I say, yippee! You're welcome and you're necessary. And for those of you who want to go to a deeper level of meditation and deeper within, do you know what I say? Yippee, you're welcome, all are necessary. Okay, why do I say that? I say that because all of us are necessary for this community to be whole. I believe there is enough space, there is enough love, there is enough light to hold us all. That's my understanding of this community. Now, I like that unity, unity is a noun, right? And it defines the unified state of being, the unified state of being joined as a whole. And it says that each individual member of this community is welcomed. Everyone's embraced, everyone's celebrated, everyone is honored as necessary for the whole well-being of this community. The whole well-being of this community. My friends, that's why we do the work. It's not just for us. Yes, that's nice. But it's just not for us, it's also for our community, right? My first talk with this community is what I call a credo talk. A credo talk. Credo is this. Credo is a statement of beliefs which guides someone's actions. I wanted you to know who I am. What drives me? What excites me? What's my passion? I wanted you to know all of that. That was not a mandate that said if you didn't think the same way that I thought, you didn't feel the same way that I felt, that you weren't welcomed. You know that flies against everything that we believe in unity, does it not? What it was for me was a moment where I got to be vulnerable to you and with you, where I shared my deepest desires and hopes. That's what that talk was about. And here's what I know from spiritual wisdom and from watching people who have come before me. I must be authentic and in integrity. It is foolish to put those veneers on to get people to like you. Because what happens over time is the real you shows up. And everyone is like, what? Right? They're all disillusioned. And so I didn't want that to happen to you because here's what's happening right now. A minister and a spiritual community, it's like, oh, so we're going on a date. Ooh. And then we get engaged. So this is the engagement period, in case you're wondering. So we're engaged now, right? We said yes, we're engaged. And then we get married in a really short period of time. The wedding is June 6th. That's the installation, so just in case. Be here. So, and I don't know about you, but dating life was really interesting. How many guys did I kiss who said that they were the prince? Prince Charming. Only to discover they're a flawed human being, right? Nothing wrong with that. But they weren't my person. I wasn't in resonance with them, right? And it's so disappointing to discover that the person that you've put your hopes on, isn't who they said they were. And so I really did not want that for this community, Unity Church of the Hills. I wanted you to know what you were getting. I didn't want you to feel like, you know, when that minister presents itself as the second coming, and then you find out, oh, simply a human. And then you also find out, and I'm not in resonance with you. That's so disappointing. So yeah, I basically, opened up and shared where I am and who I am. Here's what I found out about studying ministry. I studied ministry, as Frank mentioned, transitional ministry, church governance. The most important thing about ministry is the relationship that you and I will have. That's it in a nutshell. Anything else doesn't really matter. It's the relationship that we are having together. Are you being fed? Do you feel loved? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel seen? The ability for me to see you, to hear you, and allow your own divinity to have its way with you, is important for your spiritual development. The ability for me to see your divinity and still hold you accountable for your continued growth is vital to the well-being of this community. Are you seeing this? Of this community. And finally, your ability to see me, hear me, accept my visions, my dreams, my humanity. That allows me to continue in my spiritual evolution. What we're talking about, my friends, we are talking about resonance, frequencies. That's what we're talking about. So, what happens when we are in that field of love and acceptance? What do you think grows? More love and acceptance. That's what grows. Right? In a spiritual marriage, what it is, it's about seeing the truth, the aspects, all aspects of who we are. You know, the great stuff, the good stuff, the kind of like, oh, mediocre stuff, and the yikes, what were you thinking moments as well, right? But we do that and we hold all of that with grace. With grace, my friends. Not holding each other in judgment and condemnation, because that's not what we want to grow. We want to grow love. We want to grow acceptance. Grace, there's a lovely definition for grace. Okay. My husband tells me, stop moving your hands when you've got the clicker. Do I listen? Grace is the free and unmerited favor of God. And as metaphysicians and spiritual practitioners, what do we know? We know that we are God in skin. We are God in skin. So imagine if we held each other in favor. What? Held each other in favor without being something that they have to be earned, or you have to see it my way. You know, I think that if we were able to be with each other in grace, we would have these amazing conversations, right? Without making meaning and without becoming polarized in our identities. Imagine someone actually coming up to me and asking me, so Rev Sheree, what are you thinking about social action or social justice? What? You want to have a conversation with me because you're holding me in grace, right? In favor. So instead of making meaning or the assumptions of what that means, we're now getting down to business. We're having that delightful, juicy conversation of what it means. And you would find out that social action is simply a byproduct of being the Christ. What? Yeah. It's a byproduct of being the Christ. Simple. And I would share with you that if the frequency and consciousness of the Christ is love and oneness, then that would require us to love everyone, to see everyone, to know each person is an aspect of God. You would discover that this is not an intellectual discourse for me. That's not what this is about. It would require us to do something if we see someone in distress. So if God needs food, love, clothing, compassion, care, empathy, then being the Christ requires me to do what? To feed, to clothe, to love, to listen, to give grace to God. You see, being the Christ is not mindfulness. Oh, now she's gone off the rails, right? Being the Christ is not mindfulness. We practice mindfulness so that we can serve other people. That's why we practice mindfulness. It's not the end goal, my friend. It's a step too. I feel like we're having church up in here today. Let me just say that. Being the Christ is not saying, oh, we are all one. No, being the Christ means that we are living and acting from oneness, to consciously lift up each person that we meet, that we talk to, that we connect to. Being the Christ does not mean simply saying, I'll hold you in prayer. Now, we know prayer is powerful. We do know that. But being the Christ means that we hold the person in prayer and do something to support them, whether they're in difficulty or joy. Do something to support them. And when we choose to assist someone, now here's the thing, it doesn't mean that they better do it our way. They better see it our way. That's the only way they can do it if I'm going to help them. Well, no, it doesn't mean that. It means that we give something, it's theirs, and we release all expectations, all outcomes of that. There's no strings or judgment attached. I'm sometimes baffled with us in unity. Some of us are opposed to helping people. And yet we use Jesus as our way shower. And I got to tell you, Jesus was a badass. And I'm using, it's a defined word. It's a defined word, right? And it says, I make myself funny. Okay. It says to be tough, uncompromising person. Jesus was a badass, right? He didn't say, I hope you feel better. I hope you find some food to eat. Oh, I hope you find peace now that your loved one has died. No. Jesus healed the sick. He fed the hungry. He raised the dead. He didn't say, oh, poor Lazarus. He said, Lazarus. Right? Lazarus, do you hear me? Lazarus, we've got work to do. That's the Christ. And we are all capable of that, my friends. We are all capable of that. Jesus called out injustices and hypocrisy. He overturned tables. He refuted idols. Yes, Jesus did separate from the masses. He went away. He meditated, right? He connected with God with the allness so that he was filled up to come out and do more miracles. That's the purpose. That's the purpose. And when he was doing those miracles, he didn't condemn folks. He didn't say, you need to get a job. Why aren't you working? He didn't say that, right? How could you die on me? Don't you know better? He didn't say that, right? We know the verse. Ye without sin cast the first stone, right? When the people were trying to stone to death the woman that was an adulterer. He did not have judgment. He just helped them. And then from our continued conversation, you would know that social action can be as simple as sending a gift, a call, a text, love to someone who may have lost someone, who may feel lost. That's social action. Or social justice can be as huge as ending injustice systems and creating new ones that treats everyone fairly. It all depends on you, my friends. What's your purpose? Why did you say yes to incarnating here now? What's yours to do? And this just isn't about Christology. Christology is the study of the Christ. It's not just that. There are many faiths that believe in social action. The Buddhists, they have a required action called a dana. And this concept includes sharing and selfless giving without anticipation of return to the giver. Zakat, the third pillar of the Islam faith. compulsory giving to those Muslims whose incomes are at a particular level. It's considered a purifying tax. Jewish people have an obligation to perform charitable works known as tzedakah. The Sikh community, they have this wonderful kitchen called the langar. You ever have an opportunity to partake, it's profound. Everyone is welcome. You sit on the floor, the meal is dished out, and they incorporated that to shatter the barriers of caste and class. So yeah, I have a vision. My vision is that we change the word unity from a noun to an action verb, right? So you want to be in that state of being united and joined as a whole? Then do an action to unify. Love someone, care for someone, listen to someone. There's so many people that are lonely that just want to be listened to. Give money to the homeless. And when you give that money, bless them. Don't go, why are you on the side of the road? Bless them. If that's yours to do, bless them. Release it without expectations. Hold someone in grace, not judgment. And when you interact with someone, whoever they are, treat them as if they are God in skin, because that's what they are. Let's prepare for meditation. Take that nice deep breath in and exhale. Allow your spine to be erect. Allow your feet to be planted on the ground, allowing Mother Earth to support you as you feel this energetic shift through you. Imagine the stars in the heavens and beyond. Imagine a light and energy so pure, waiting for you. And as you look up, you breathe in that energy and you allow it in to transform you, to awaken you, to shift your frequency to love and acceptance. Take a breath. Breathe that in. Allow that pure white energy of love, of bliss, of possibilities to envelop you. And allow that energy to flow through you and into Mother Earth, renewing her as well. Feel that power within you. You are awakening in a new and profound way. I invite you to listen in the silence for you. And at the sound of my voice, bring your consciousness, your awareness back to this space as you take a moment of thanksgiving for hearing, for feeling, for being. Take a nice deep breath in and exhale. You may want to Move your fingers or your toes, maybe stretch out a little bit. Open your eyes. And be renewed. Be reborn. I see it. Namaste.